Kambale Musavuli lived in Congo's capital the last time rebel soldiers overran the government. He was about 15 years old. For days, he and his family stayed inside waiting for the sounds of battle to die down. When he was finally free to walk the streets of Kinshasa, Kambale saw the rebel soldiers for the first time.
They just looked like me. They were actually kids fighting. And I was asking myself, did this kid really fight during the war? Because they just look like me.
They look like the guys you played soccer with, right?
Exactly. He's so small. He has a gun. It was a shock. And we look at each other, it was like, are these the soldiers that really fought the war?
Kambale Musavuli lives in the U.S. now, but as fighting sweeps across Congo yet again, he says he's reliving all those memories. I'm Dick Gordon. This is The Story.
The Story is produced by North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC. It's co-produced and distributed by American Public Media.
Rebel fighters continue their advance across eastern Congo. Hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced by the fighting, and the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo seems paralyzed in its attempts to stop the rebels. Just yesterday, Congo's president fired his military chief of staff. The man who is leading the attack, Laurent Nkunda, has told the BBC that he plans to take his soldiers from the east of Congo all the way to the capital of Kinshasa in the west.
My vision is not only for Eastern Congo, it's for Congo. I'm a Congolese. And I want this Congo like you know it. I want to remain Congolese.
You want to control the whole country?
Yes, I'm proud to be Congolese, not to be Eastern Congolese.
He claims he'll overthrow the government if it won't agree to talks.
We are going to throw them out. They have to hear to the people.
Kambale Musavuli and his family have been watching news of the fighting in Congo with a sense of growing dread. They live in the U.S. now, but the grandparents are somewhere in the middle of all the displaced people, and they've lost touch with them.
My grandparents are in the 80s. How would you get an 80-year-old person just to go and find refuge? We have no clue who's helping them move. We don't really know where they are. Of course, communication is bad.
There's no cell phone contact at all?
No. The person that's our contact there, we can't reach. Like, whenever we call, it doesn't go through. Since probably the past month or so, the communication there is really, really terrible.
Have you been making many calls to try and get them through?
Myself, I can't do it. My mother does. Like, for me, it reminds me, because I grew up with my grandmother, so I remember exactly how she was and the advice that she used to give us when we were little kids. If I got in trouble, she was in the house, she would go talk to my mom and say, don't hate it, he's just a kid and things.
She protected you.
Exactly. So now just to think that and just to call and hear something bad, so it's like it's holding me off to even try to touch the phone.
You don't want to call, is what you're saying.
I'd rather have no news, good news, because I'm afraid to call and someone may tell me that she left with a group of people or something happened to her. But my mom is consistently calling because,
it's her mother, right?
Exactly. But it's still also my grandmother. But that fear of knowing if you call, you may hear something bad, because from already what I'm watching, from already what I'm seeing, I can tell that this is a repetition of what happened to us in 96.
Back in 96, the Musavuli family was pinned down in Kinshasa when different rebel soldiers overran Congo's capital. But it wasn't the first time that Kambale had been told to hide from the soldiers. That happened when he was 10 years old.
They were coming through the neighborhood shooting. People were being robbed. People were being killed in the areas. And basically, you were in your home just hoping that at night they will not be knocking at your door.
So you kept the lights out?
Exactly. The lights were out and you had to sleep on the floor. And my mom always told us, no, make sure that you can't sleep on the bed in case a bullet comes through. So you sleep on the floor. Then in the morning, when you get out, that's when you see what really happened in the street. You may see, and of course, the advice for us is if you see any dead body, look away. Because you don't want to have that mental imprint of a dead body in your mind. So
you were 10 years old, and the advice from your mother was that if you see a dead body in the street, don't
look. Yeah, because it becomes something that you bear. So anytime we go into school or you see something that just look funny because you may see a shoe or something, okay, I don't need to go over there, and just go there. But so you already knew that there were things that were happening, and there were a certain way you had to act. And basically, the only thing that protected you was God.
How close did the fighting come to your family, to friends and relatives back in 91?
What really helped us on our street is we had a colonel that lived on my street, and he had guards at his home. So what the mothers of the street did, they made sure that they fed them. They get coffee and food. So at night, they had a standoff on the street. So as they will come on our street, they will shoot in the air so that the soldiers that commit a mutiny will know they are there. So they will drive off. Then you hear that on the next street, and you hear battles around. And of course, the aftermath is like when you wake up in the morning, you're like, wow, this was really serious. What happened here?
You're seeing bullet casings on the ground and stuff like that.
Exactly. So,
but these guards, the people who were assigned to guard the colonel, they basically kept your street safe.
Exactly. Yes, they did.
I'm Dick Gordon. You're listening to The Story. Kambale Musavuli remembers what was hardest for his family back then was that no one on the street, no one he talked to, knew anything about what was really going on.
We had no clue what was happening there. So the people on the outside of the Congo were better placed than us on the inside.
You had no news about where the rebels were or how close they were?
It wasn't clear. We had Voice of America. We had RFI, is the French radio station. We had those fancy UHF antenna. I never seen it here in America, actually. So we had CNN International. And of course, didn't speak English. So I will watch CNN just to get the images that CNN will have to get a sense of what's happening in the country, because even our news could not report what was really happening and actually understand what was really happening in the east of the Congo. So we were literally left to guess.
Kambale Musavuli was a teenager when rebels marched on Kinshasa back in 1996. That time, he says, the fighting was unlike anything he'd ever heard.
I vividly remember when the rebels came into Kinshasa. That night, the amount of noise, like I said, Hollywood can never explain what war does.
So what were you hearing? You were 15, 16 years old at the time. What do you remember hearing that night?
I can't even say what it is. I can say it's a bomb, but I don't know if it was a bomb. But just loud noise, a lot of gunshots, like I guess it was automatic weapons probably. I mean, continuous. Then cars like driving almost about to hit, like cars, or if it was trucks, but you knew that you stay at home, and you same system, you lay down on the floor, make sure that it doesn't hit the house. But it was, I don't want to say the worst noise, but it was some noise that you can't really describe, where okay, they here in the capital. We know now from what we were not sure of what they've done in the east. Now they are here.
Like thunder at all?
Probably thunder is a good description of that too. You hear a lot of boom, and you hear a lot of vibration of the wall.
So you're feeling it as well as hearing it.
So it's a weird feeling. Like if I'm in it too, I will know what it is. It's hard to describe. That's why I always say that war is not good, because when you experience it, it changes you.
You've told me something that I'd never thought of before. When you're a young boy, a civilian, and war comes to your city, it's not something you see, because you have to be hidden inside. You can only hear it. You can only feel it.
Exactly, yeah.
And so you're left, in many ways, to your imagination. What's that noise? What's that noise?
Because you've never seen it. You have never seen it. You have never seen it, really. So you're just guessing. And you guess it's a bomb, it's a grenade, or you hear the shouts, you hear the noise, you hear the cars driving. It's just, you don't know what it is.
So
and you just
who's in your house at this time? It's you?
My brother, my sister, and my mother.
And everybody's on the floor?
Yes.
Are you guys talking to each other?
No. We were just, we talked before that. He has to stay quiet. He has to look like it's abandoned house, even though it's not abandoned. But he has to literally stay quiet, sleep. If you have something, if you gotta get some water or something, make sure you do it and don't get up. There are no talks. There are no, it's gonna be okay. Unless, of course, if he got into the house, but he never did. So it's no talks. Let's hope everything's gonna be fine.
And how long did you have to stay quiet and on the floor of the house like that?
Until I fell asleep. Because after a while, you get used to the noise and you have to go to sleep because the next day you have to wake up.
And when you got up the next day, was there more noise or was it quiet?
No, during the daytime there was not fight. They always fought at night. I'm not sure why, but during the daytime, my guess will be that it'll be easy to see who was fighting. But during the daytime, I didn't hear a gunshot.
So could you go out of the house during the daytime then?
Yes. I went to school.
School continued?
School continued. Unless there is something out of the ordinary or the teacher were not paid or something of the nature, then school will be canceled. School went on. So it's like went to school, went to church, played soccer during the daytime with my friends. We may talk, oh, you heard what happened last night? Just talk about what was happening. Then at night, same routine.
Kambale Musavuli says the fighting that's underway right now in Congo reminds him of his own time under fire in Kinshasa. What worries him is that his grandparents are somewhere lost in this latest rebel advance. In just a moment, I'll talk more with him about his memories and his frustrations over the fighting that always seems to be a part of life in Congo. I'm Dick Gordon from American Public Media. This is The Story. I'm Dick Gordon. This is The Story. In the latest news from Congo, rebels are reported to have taken more land in their march from east to west. They are still hundreds of miles from the capital city of Kinshasa, but this march is reminding many Congolese of similar attacks 10 years ago. Kambale Musavuli was a boy in Kinshasa during the conflicts in the 1990s. He's now a college student in Greensboro, North Carolina. And he says he remembers exactly where he was a few weeks ago when he heard the news that the fighting had started again.
Yeah, it was a homecoming week at my school. They took over the Rumangabo camp, and not surprisingly, everyone was shocked. I didn't go to any homecoming festivities. I did not go to the parade, didn't go to the game, didn't go to any event.
What did you do?
I stayed home. I literally stayed home trying to make connection. We couldn't get contacts back home to find out what's happening. And reading that they took over a military camp that reminded me of what happened in 96. So when that happened, I already knew that, okay, it's happening again because it's the same formula.
You're worried about your grandparents because they're there, but you're also thinking you've seen this movie already, right?
Exactly. Same exact concept. The first one was the same thing. Banyamulenge declaring that they are a minority in the Congo, they want legitimacy. The next thing you know, it was cities after cities, province after province, and the whole country gone. Now, the same exact thing. So when I saw that, I was already scared. I did not want to go out. The only thing I was literally doing, I was stuck to the computer reading news articles about what's happening.
Just
literally.
Combing through the internet to look for anything
I could find on the Congo. Reading and reading. People call. I was supposed to be at the parade.
Were you supposed to be in the parade?
Yes, I was supposed to be in the parade and hold one of the Multicultural Student Center banner. I didn't go. I just called them. I said, I can't go right now. Things are not well in my country. Was supposed to go to the game. Didn't go. I did not do anything that week because it took me back there. Now I'm okay, now I'm a little older, now I'm understanding more what's happening, and I was okay, let me find out as much information as I can. From already what I'm seeing, I can tell that this is a repetition of what happened to us in 96. And same thing that happened in 98 too.
How is your mother doing, though, not knowing?
She's, I don't know how she does it. She has this tough face when she has to be, so it's really hard to tell. But I know, when she goes to a room, that I can tell that she is really hurt by what's happening. But she will never show it to us. And that's also what happened when we were in the 90s, during the struggle there. I remember my mother crying, but she never cried in front of me. No, I would hear her in the room, but when we were all together there, she'd be okay. Everybody come home before 5, making sure that everyone was fine. But when she would be there, as a child, you hear, So it's like I know that's how she will be, be tough, but also whenever she's in closed door, then it comes out.
I'm Dick Gordon. You're listening to The Story. Kambale Musavuli was telling me that when he was a teenager back in 96, the situation in Congo was similar to what we're seeing today. And for him, it got worse. In May of 97, the rebels overran the city of Kinshasa in one day. Kambale and his family were hiding inside, listening to news reports.
Can you just imagine that you don't know what's happening in your country, in your neighborhood? You depend on a journalist, on a radio station to tell you what's happening. Like literally, your lives depend on what the reporter is telling you.
You mean, is it safe to go outside or
Exactly. I don't think that a lot of people can experience that where you're depending on the news of a news reporter who may not even understand that he actually saved the lives of many. They don't get those awards for saving lives because then they never connect the dots of what they do is essential to people.
How much people depend on just that survival information. When the rebels came into Kinshasa, were there many people killed during that attack?
There were many, especially when you went downtown. Yes, there were dead bodies all over the place. There were many people that were killed.
Now, soldiers or civilians?
Soldiers and civilians, but more soldiers than civilians.
And did you go downtown as kids at that time?
I didn't get downtown probably the next 2 days. So I didn't go that same day.
Well, Kambale, when you did get out finally, what was different? What did you see?
The feel, the smell. It was quiet, and people were not really talking. No, even as kids, we were stepping out. I remember walking up the street. So some of our friends would say, "Oh yeah, you heard? That took over," and people were not really talking. And we walked for a while, and that was the first time that I saw the rebels. They had the trucks, and they came through our neighborhood. And of course, I went out, and I wasn't supposed to go out. So I hope my mom is not listening. And she'll be like, I don't remember this. But I wasn't supposed to go out that day because my mom told us that, no, stay home. We don't know what's going to happen. But I still went out with friends, and we walked. And when I saw the truck, and I always remember that, they just looked like me. They were actually kids fighting. And I was asking myself, did this kid really fight during the war? Because they just look like me.
They look like the guys you played soccer with, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he was interested. Just put a mental picture of a kid with a gun and a military uniform. He's so small. He has a gun. And he's acting like,
Well, he's got the sleeves all rolled up.
Exactly.
So the uniform fits.
Yeah, he's like, happy that he fought. So it was a shock. And we look at each other too. It was like, are these the soldiers that really fought the war?
So here's the question, though. You're a kid. You're 15, 16 years old. You finally see the rebels come in. Mm-hmm. They look just like you, just kids with their guns. Mm-hmm. Do they frighten you?
Definitely. It did scare me because it's a concept that I didn't know.
Why is it more frightening, though? I mean, part of it is like, hey, these guys aren't bad guys. They just look like the people I play soccer with. Why was it more frightening for you?
The weapon they had in their hand. They had something that I didn't have. They didn't have, let's say the smile. They didn't have that same feel that I have. You see, you can feel a genuine person that you feel that they feel empowered with that, just the way they carry themselves with the gun. Even what they did when they took after the capital. Just imagine, you have all these rebels coming, they have no place to stay. So they had to be living in people's home. So these kids literally took people's home.
And shot the residents?
Yes. And there was nothing that could be done. People became targets.
Families. For example, this colonel who lived on your street.
He was gone. He was way gone before even he was gone. He was gone before even they took the capital.
So what happened then in the weeks after May of 1997, after Mobutu had left, after the rebels were in control? Did you go to school? Did you have to stay at home? How did your life change?
I stayed at home probably for about a week or so. Things had to get back to normal. People started saying, okay, we have to integrate all soldiers in. So the soldiers started getting back. School got back.
Simple things, though, like buying food, getting cooking gas. Was this...
Things were expensive. School was expensive. Food was expensive. Everything was expensive. And I vividly remember my mother literally selling her clothes to have money in the house so that we could go to school. That's something I always thank my mother for that. No matter what happened, she sold furniture at home. She sold her own clothes. She made sure that we always had food. We always went to school. She made sure of that. But seeing that literally you used to have to start selling your own outfit to feed your family. And then it didn't really change when the rebels took over. It just gotten worse.
I'm Dick Gordon. You're listening to The Story. At a time when the Democratic Republic of Congo is getting swept up in war once again, I'm talking with a young Congolese man who's seen this before. Kambale Musavuli has lived in the U.S. for the past 10 years, but he says he's still haunted by his childhood memories of life there. It happened when he was on a school retreat not long ago.
It was in Virginia, Bowling Green. And I was with everybody there. And what I didn't even know, there was a military camp there. And the day I was at the retreat, they were making bomb training or something like that.
There was a lot of explosions going on the range, yeah?
Yes. So it's I guess there is a military camp near Bowling Green where we went to the retreat. So it was like, wow, this feels like home. And everybody just noticed that I stepped away. Everybody was asking me, why are you going away? I said,
what do you mean step away?
Here? We were all as a group. And I just walked away from them because I was trying to get away from those noise because I was hearing it. And we are in a retreat, and everybody is in a circle. Like, we were looking at aloe vera plants and things like that. And I'm hearing a military base doing explosion. That's taking me right back to where I came from. It's like, wow, I'm a refugee here, and I'm hearing the same thing. So it's like I'm feeling, okay, they're coming again. Where am I going to lay down?
What did you do? Where did you go?
I just moved away near the bushes, and I left them, literally. I probably stayed there for about 45 minutes, and one guy came and talked to me, so I kind of explained him from a personal level that I didn't like what was happening because it's taking me back to where I was before, and I don't like those noises.
Kambale Musavuli says even now he knows that his time in Congo, his years in a war zone, have changed him.
I'm aware of my surroundings. I always tell myself that even here. I watch things that people won't watch, even if I'm in a crowd.
Like what?
How the crowd moves, how people act. I may be able to tell if something is going wrong in areas easily than before. So it's changed the way I look at the world on being aware of my surroundings.
You mean you don't relax?
In big crowds, I'm uneasy. I know that. In big crowds, you will see me very active. That I'll be looking
Your head's
around,
turning around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why is that? Why do crowds give you that sense of unease?
You don't see what's coming. If you're in a crowd, you do not see what's coming. And being in the war in the Congo, it's like you have to know. If I hear a gunshot, I need to lay it down. If I hear it this way, I need to lay it down.
You want to know where it came from.
Exactly.
What you're saying.
So, and by hearing, you can't tell. It's probably, many people don't probably know that. By hearing a gunshot, you will know if it's coming from left or right. And whatever the direction is coming, you want to stay away from the direction and lay out. But in a big crowd, you're hearing too much commotion. So even though I'm not in a war situation, I'm here. Whenever I see a big crowd, I'm always, looking. I've had people tell me that.
News comes from Congo. You know what's at stake. You know that we're talking about not just thousands, but millions of people who are on the move, hundreds of thousands of people at risk. It makes the newspapers here, but it's not a big story. And how does that sit with you?
For the longest, I was very bitter about it because I know the numbers. Nearly 6 million is a lot of people dying, and it doesn't get media coverage. But
and that's just in the last 10, 12 years.
Exactly. And 2 years ago, I started doing some advocacy work, and that's why I understand it differently, because I understand that if people knew what's happening in the Congo, there will be outrage, and they will do something about it.
Can I just sort of propose to you a sense of the Congo that I think a lot of people have? We've talked about all the different wars that have basically been a part of Zaire and Congo for all of your life.
Exactly.
And it seems in so many ways like war is a wave that just washes across Congo from one side to the other. And then there's this period of peace, but all it is everybody greasing their guns and getting ready for the next wave of war, and it goes back.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps that people look at that and they go, there's no hope. There's nothing that can be done. The place is lost.
But the people you are referring to are informed people.
Informed people, yeah.
Then they will say that. But literally, in my community, in Greensboro, in my school, no one knew anything about the Congo.
I'm Dick Gordon. You're listening to The Story. Kambale Musavuli says while most people he meets know very little about Congo, most people know nothing at all about the latest news.
They didn't know that there was a war in the Congo. They did not even know what was happening. And as I start speaking out and talking to people and understanding, then I want to have people to that level where they say they know what's happening and it's lost. The majority of the people have no clue.
So you mean if people even had that basic sense of too much war, you'd feel that you were further ahead?
Yes, because just remember, I was in the Congo. I played soccer. I went to school. I had friends that I play with all the time. I had family members.
You had a real life there.
Exactly, just like anyone else. And from that to be taken away from anyone, and just imagine the atrocity. We have 200,000 reported rapes in the Congo. Just imagining that this ongoing conflict is affecting the lives of human beings, people will be outraged if they know it. People don't even know it's happening.
And is that kind of outrage enough? Is that a start? How do you see that?
I think that is a start because it starts a conversation. Right now, there is no conversation about the Congo. So by starting a conversation, I believe great minds will solve it. When it's not stated properly, it looks like you have wave after wave. But if you look at it, that's the same tactics, rapes, and displacing the people from the community. So it's the same exact thing being repeated over.
But there's a logic here. There's something that could be understood. It doesn't have to be just something you roll your eyes over.
No. And I think people are speaking and talking about the Congo. And I hope that they're talking about the Congo from a potential of a peaceful Congo, more so than profit over the people.
I have a newspaper story here. The headline says, civilians and soldiers flee as Congo rebels approach an eastern city. And I was thinking about this newspaper story and thinking how many people just turn that page. They go, oh, I can't figure that out. I can't figure that out. Maybe you've helped a little bit. Thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Kambale Musavuli joined me here in our Chapel Hill studio. Now, if you go to our website, you can hear one more part of my conversation with Kambale. As you can hear, he's become something of an activist. And he explains on our website why it is that the fight for control of natural resources is so much a part of the story of the fighting in Congo. Log on to thestory.org, and you can hear Kambale talk about coltan, something prized by the electronics industry, and why it's one of the valuable resources at the heart of Congo's current darkness. I'm Dick Gordon from American Public Media. This is The Story.
I looked at the circuit board of a cell phone. On the circuit board itself, there are little bulbs, and inside those bulbs, that's where the coltan was. So then another, like microwaves, is in different locations. I haven't looked in the microwave to find out exactly what it was.
Computers, cameras, do they all have coltan in them as well? Or is it?
Computer has it. It's into the Intel processors. Intel processor uses that. TVs, VCRs, airbags use that too. Pacemakers, virtually anything that's electronic uses that because of what it does. It's a high conductant of electricity and a high absorbent of heat. So a very tangible example will be, in the 90s, your phone will be hot very quickly.
And the coltan prevents that from happening.
Yes, it absorbs it and it still allows the electricity to go through, thus storing the power for your phone to last longer.
And when the coltan is mined in Congo, is it in? Do they just dig it from the soil, or do they have to dig shafts down into the earth?
It's from the soil. It looks when you look at the coltan mine, it looks like a hill.
Like they've just cut the hill away.
Yeah, and people are working. And what's sad about it is coltan is radioactive.
So the people, the miners, are affected by this.
And there is already a doctor that's dealing with that because there are children that's being born with syphilis and malformation. But he's the only doctor saying it's because of the coltan mining. The coltan miners go home. And you know what's so sad about it? The same plate they use to mine, that's the same plate they use as utensils at home to cook with. So they come home, wash it off. They will cook the food with that.
But the radioactivity doesn't wash off, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and they live in the environment with their wives and family, and it's affecting that. So there are no, and the coltan in mining the Congo is done as a black market there. So it's not something even that's legal.
So the thing that I was wondering about is, most of us know about the diamonds. And how it's possible to smuggle them and move them. But something like coltan or steel or aluminum or any of these things that have to be dug as ore and then refined, how is it that can benefit, say, the rebels or someone like that? I understand that control of the mine gives you control of a lot of money, but if I wanted to, say I went there with a suitcase full of money, are you saying that I could find someone who would sell me black market coltan?
Yes. If you go with the money, in Goma, to be a mining exporter, so-called, is about $300 to get that. So you have all these little shops. So there are so many middlemen there. They all are profiting, but the scale of the profit is nothing compared to the value of the mineral itself. So they don't understand that they're being exploited.
Right.
So, like, let's say the person in Goma that will have a shop and are selling it is making a decent living to be able to help his family. But it doesn't stop the rebel militia that will go to the mine and take that away from the worker, or taking people to go work. If you don't do so, you'll be killed or anything of that nature. That don't change because they have the bigger seller, because they're selling it by tons.
So they're negotiating with the big mineral buyers, and they're getting better profit.
Exactly. They have their own planes that fly in. They have those Russian planes. The Russians are all over North Kivu.
Yeah, they have a lot of planes kicking around, the Russians.
Exactly. I mean, it's like they control the aviation in the Congo.
Yeah.
You just see all those planes coming. And from different videos and reports that I got is that the product they have in the plane is untraceable because they only have the weight of what they have there, not what is in there.
Not the content.
Yes.
And are they bringing arms in as well?
Definitely. There was a report that came out in 2001, the illegal exploitation of the Congo by the United Nations. It's called Expert Panel Illegal Exploitation of the DRC. George Forrest is a Belgian. He owns Katanga Mining. And he was listed by the United Nations as one of the small arms dealers.
Right.
So he's making so much money. And
minerals out, arms in. It's like printing money. Yeah.
And have you look at the executive order that George Bush wrote for Laurent Nkunda in 2006? Okay. There is an executive order to block property or son of person inciting conflict in the Congo. Laurent Nkunda is the first name on the executive order. Then he's 7 names on that list.
They're all rebel leaders, are they?
No. He's the rebel leader, and the others are businessmen. And one of them is a Russian guy. And he was arrested in Bangkok 2 months ago.
Is he in jail now?
Yeah, in Bangkok. So they're trying to send him now to Hague. And it was through what George Bush put in. And that same executive order on October the 22nd, it was put in law October 31st, 2006. And October 22nd, 2008, this year, he extended that because he knows he's leaving office. So he extended that same executive order to make sure that anyone that's helping Laurent Nkunda and those folks to be arrested. And the funny thing is that they do know how he follows. Like, not everybody buy 65 Humvees. You know, not everybody that gotta buy 35,000 AK-47 from Russia. So it's like when you start seeing that, then you know.
Who ordered the 40 Toyota Land Cruisers, right?
Exactly. So that's how they were able to get all those names of those people. And one of them from that list has been already arrested.